The migrant crisis, a mess, whatever way you look at it. And here is another source of the ongoing chaos. The Home Office, which has to, of course, process applications for asylum when these people arrive here illegally on boats. I mean, we should just send them out, if you ask me, but apparently we don't. It says that only half of its decisions, just under half of its decisions about whether or not people can stay are what they call satisfactory. This is due to the fact that the last government, Rishi Sunak, put tremendous pressure on them to process more and more asylum applications because we had so many coming in. They wanted to get rid of the backlog as fast as possible. So they say that the pressure that was put on civil servants made them make, shall we say, slapdash decisions, which now immigration lawyers are pouncing on at a rate higher than ever known before. For example, there were 9,300 appeals lodged between April and June this year. That's April and June, April, May, June. So that's three months, 9,300 appeals. The number of appeals against asylum seeker decisions lodged rose from 8,000 to 29,000. So in other words, every single asylum application, most of them get approved, so stupid are we. So for example, back in 2022, Russell, ludicrously, we were allowing 76% of all asylum applications, applicants to stay. 2023, that went down to a still ridiculous 67%. Up until September 24, it was 62%. And they're hoping to get it down to 52%. Meanwhile, in places like in places like Germany and France, Western Europe, they allow like 2.5%, 3%. Yeah. So A, why are we letting so many people in? And B, even the ones that we try to kick out, say, no, you can't stay, nearly all of them are being appealed against successfully because bureaucratically the Home Office has made a mess of them. It's just...
And we know, don't we?
It's an utter shambles.
But we know also where the majority of these people are coming from, because there's league tables that are published on it. So the majority of these people are not coming from Afghanistan or Syria, which obviously is another thing I know we're going to be talking about shortly. They're coming from places that are, not subject to conflict. So places like Vietnam, fun enough, because a lot of them come over here to help manicure marijuana farms, as I understand it, and also from places like Albania, India and so on. So these people are not coming from conflict, they're not coming from places where they are persecuted. So it's even more curious that if the majority are coming from places like that these applications would be granted. But the other thing I think this makes very, very clear to us, Kev, is that we've talked a lot over the last few years, particularly under the last government, about the inept state of our civil service, not just the fact that they're inept, inefficient, not fit for purpose, even though there's more civil servants in Britain now than ever, over 500,000 civil servants, at a cost in terms of payroll of £16 billion per annum. But the fact that, of course, they have their own agendas. So no matter what governments say, no matter what the electorates tell governments to say, you've got civil servants that, apart from being inefficient, as this clearly points out, they're going to do what they want to do anyway because they have their own political agendas and motives. Someone needs to really get this by the scruff of the neck, don't they?
Yeah, and when they do turn them down, it's like a vicious circle because, Yvette Cooper's putting the same pressure on them. You've got to process more. I understand that. But it looks like what's happening is the civil servants are just like being slapdash now because they're having to be so fast. And now we've got unprecedented numbers of appeals coming in. So the Home Office will decide, no, this person can't stay, double murderer and rapist or something. In comes the appeal.
Well, some of them can stay.
And these appeals are succeeding because the Home Office is making bureaucratic mistakes, legal mistakes.
Yeah.
We're going nowhere fast here, aren't we?
Well, we are, but again, I look at these things from a pragmatic point of view, Kev, really, and I think, OK, what would I do? Well, I would say, OK, well, look, if we're completely overrun by people and therefore asylum applications, we've tried to grant amnesties, we've tried to, speed things up, but that's just made us less efficient. Tell you what we should do. If we were to take away the incentive for the asylum seekers to want to come here in the first place, again, that would stem and dilute the flow of people coming. Or what you say is, tell you what, if you want to come to Britain on a boat and you want to claim asylum, that's fine, but you will go straight to prison. So you will come off the boat at Dover, we will put you in a prison truck, we will take you to an internment camp, a prison camp, whatever you want to call it. I mean, maybe, I guess from a government PR perspective...
Detainment centre.
It would be called a processing centre, there you go, but actually really a prison. That actually might stop the flow, which would mean then that you could put your foot on the ball as Border Force, as the Home Office, and start to process these things properly. I mean, if you've turned the tap on full, which we've done, don't be surprised if that flow of asylum seekers is too much to handle. It's so obvious.
I want to ask the audience, so what are we going to do about this? I mean, the Home Office isn't going to do anything about it. The government's not going to do anything about it. But in your ideal world, how would you solve this? As Russell said, I've always said this. I mean, in my book, turn the boats around in the middle of the channel. Apparently there's no real legal reason why we can't do this, but we keep being told that's lethal and dangerous. Dangerous to turn the boats round and tow them back to France, but not dangerous to tow them into Britain. That seems to be the equation, so I don't know how that works. But I've always said, OK, if you're not going to turn the boats down, as Russell quite rightly says, these people arrive here on illegal boats, illegal vessels. Mainly, they don't have any documents because there's people smugglers tell them to throw them in the channel. They arrive without documents, they arrive on an illegal vessel, therefore they've broken our laws. They should be detained. Tried, I guess, sent to court, and then told, you fail, you go. Like in Australia. Australia says if you arrive in our country illegally, you automatically have no right to asylum. They have legal systems for people who might deserve asylum, but if you turn up on an illegal boat without documents, you just can't stay. You negated your ability to be able to stay in Australia. Why we can't do the same as that, I don't know, because I'll tell you what that's called, folks. That's called a deterrent. And if migrants knew that after they've done that perilous journey of 21 miles across the channel from Calais to Dover, they're just going to get chucked in a detention centre and then deported, they'd stop coming. But what do they know? They know they get a 4-star hotel, that list of benefits I just gave you, 4-star hotel, free food forever, 45 quid a week benefits, free doctors, free dentists, free lawyers. They're bound to keep coming, aren't they? Your thoughts? What would you do to stop this nonsense? I say nonsense, it's a scourge. What will you do to stop this scourge?